Hey, everybody. My name is Brandon. Welcome back to this week's episode of State of the Boom Boom. We are very excited today to have a very special guest with us joining us in the podcast room today, and that is Mr. Robert Foti. And Robert, thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
My name is Michael Ingram, President Fireworks Over America, and we're very excited to have Robert Foti here. For those of you that don't know Robert, he is part of one of the most historical firework families on the planet. And so Robert and I have known each other a long time, primarily as industry friends. And then several years ago, we started working with Robert and Icon on developing our professional products that you'll see within our Showtime Effects line, both 1.4 and 1.3 actually now. And then this year we've expanded into the 1.4 consumer world. So before we get into all the sawed-off stuff, which I know is a big thing in the industry right now, I think the most interesting thing about, well, you and obviously your family is your story. So you just tell us the Foti family story, the history of y'all in the fireworks industry.
Okay, so my family has an Italian heritage. So fireworks has been a tradition in our family since 1793. So we're from southern Italian. So I'm a seventh generation pyrotechnician. So after World War II, there was a lot of migration from Southern Europe to Australia. So a lot of migrants, particularly from Italy, moved to Australia. So my grandfather emigrated to Australia, and I think that was 1952. He emigrated to Australia. So he, was a pyrotechnician in Italy. He moves to Australia. He gets whatever work he can as a new migrant. But the story goes, he had a friend that said, there's a firework business on the outskirts of Sydney. So they'd moved to Sydney. He said, well, let's go out there, see if you can get a job there. So my grandfather goes for a job interview, basically. His friend takes him to this firework factory, which was called Vulcan Fireworks, and made consumer fireworks for, in Australia at the time, it was for Guy Fawkes, for November 5th fireworks. So my grandfather, who speaks no English, goes for this job interview, and the guy who interviewed him obviously didn't speak Italian, and they had like a translator. So the guy was thinking, how do I interview this guy to see if he actually knows what he's talking about in fireworks? So the story goes, he took him down to the factory and went to a room with all the with chemicals. And the guy goes, what's that chemical? And points to like this black powder. And my grandpa goes, that's charcoal. He goes, okay. He goes, well, what about that one? He points to this yellow chemical, and my grandfather goes, it's sulfur. And then he goes, well, what about that one over there? And it was a white powder. So my grandfather sort of looking at it, and then he sort of dips his finger in it. Potassium nitrate. The guy goes, you got the job.
So it's funny.
So he started working at this firework company manufacturing consumer fireworks, and then by night would do firework displays. And back in the day, it was displays for local communities, and in particular, like the migrant communities who still had their tradition of religious events. So he did that, and then eventually him and my father bought the company, which was, I guess, a typical migrant story of, growing in the new country, and built that. Interesting thing about my grandfather was that when he came to Australia in 1952, it wasn't actually his first trip to Australia. He was actually, during World War II, was in the Italian army, and as a young man, and was captured in North Africa and in Tobruk, and he was shipped to Australia as a prisoner of war during World War II. But I was able to find his war records in the Australian War Memorial archives, and it has his record and it has his occupation as pyrotechnic. So it's very cool to have that history, and that's the history of how we came to Australia. And now the 8th generation have started, so I think we've got maybe 14 or 15 family working in the business, shooting shows. And now we don't manufacture as much anymore. A little bit in Australia, a little bit of manufacturing in Australia, but produce events in Australia. So that's my story of how I came to being in the fireworks industry.
Well, it goes farther than that. So why don't you explain to everybody what does Robert do in the fireworks industry?
Yeah, well, so I grew up working, having to spend my school holidays in the factory, but um, doing shows. But I actually had a different career for a while there. I was actually a psychologist for a number of years. But then, the draw of the fireworks became too much, and I started working in the fireworks industry, and that took me to China. So my family had been involved in manufacturing fireworks in China since the 90s, and in the early 2000s, when I started working full time in the business, that opportunity for me to be in China and working on that side of the business came up. So I, in 2002, started working in China, mainly in terms of quality control and development of new fireworks. And I've been doing that ever since, living in Hong Kong.
Well, I think it's an awesome story. We discussed this a little bit at lunch actually today. Uh, it was really COVID that got you into the 1.4 consumer, let's just say, American market.
Yeah, well, COVID had a huge impact on everyone, and it had a significant impact on the professional display business. So my focus was manufacturing professional display fireworks. And before COVID, around 2018, 2019, we'd been doing this development work on the professional fireworks, on seeing how we can make the fireworks physically smaller. So without actually affecting the effect of what gets produced. Sure. Because in professional fireworks, what the firework physically looks like is not important. The performance is the most important thing.
Right.
So we'd been working on that for a few years, and then during COVID, when everything broke down for the display industry, a factory in China that needed to do to manufacture, but we had no display fireworks to manufacture. So we pivoted and moved into developing fireworks for the consumer industry, which I was pretty familiar with the US consumer industry. In the past, I'd been on the board of directors for AFSL, so I knew about the consumer industry. And that's when we started manufacturing and developing fireworks for the consumer US market. And that was at the time where we started to think of, okay, we know that consumer fireworks size is, people perceive the size as being important, that the bigger it is, that the bigger the fireworks are. But it made me start to wonder, well, can we actually develop smaller looking fireworks that still have the same effect? So you're not losing any value in the size of the effect, but in a smaller package, which would save on shipping costs. And, at the time, shipping cost of shipping was starting to go up. And so we looked at how we could adapt that. And that's where the sawed-off product evolved from, and then started developing.
Yeah, so we are very excited to partner with Sawed Off this year. These items to me are something that it's new to the industry. It's exciting for the industry. That being said, I know that the bursts are enormous, the quality is enormous, but the safety of them, because they're essentially, I know we have several, rack type designs, but from a single shot standpoint, the industry has struggled over the past several years when it comes to specifically 60-gram canister shells. That seems to be where we typically have the most injuries. And, I think this is an excellent product to hopefully curb some of the people utilizing those reloadables in certain ways that make them unsafe. And so we're really excited to add it to our line of products. How'd you come about sawed off? Because you've had other brands before sawed off, and then sawed off was your.
Well, the sawed off, like I said, it was all about trying to make something smaller, but without losing the quality or the value or the entertainment value of it. So one of the things that I knew would be a challenge is communicating to people that, yeah, this may look small, but it's the performance is big. And also I'm Australian, so I'm trying to also come up with a name that has a connection with American culture that's understandable. So that's where I thought of the idea of the sawed off name, because it sort of, to me, communicated that it's still a big thing. It's just been chopped down. So having that, featuring the fact that they're preloaded and ready to shoot, so that you don't have to do the reloading, was also something which appealed to me to develop. Because in professional fireworks, there's less and less hand firing, reloading. So this was an opportunity to develop something new that would appeal to people, would be safer, and also just in terms of space, less space in warehouse, more, in your retail stores, you can fit more on a shelf. So there was all these advantages that we were trying to achieve through the development of this.
Well,
go ahead.
And, Michael hit on this, and I think it's important because at FOA, we take a lot of pride in our quality of product. Yeah. And, there's so many things out there in the fireworks business that can be a tad bit gimmicky at times. Yeah. And so we really pride ourselves, on quality product, and we're not going to jump at the first opportunity until we can really, truly put our name on it. And, we're really excited about. We've got 6 new items this year with you. We've got 4 different offerings of the preloaded mortars, and then we've got 2 500-gram cakes, which you can see here. But tell us a little bit more, and I actually want to get one out here so we can see it, because there's so much about like what the heck is sawed off, and you keep talking about like, oh, it's a smaller item, and the shelf holding power and everything, which is great. But I mean, are these? Tell us about these. Tell us what they are. Tell us about the performance.
All right. So, as you can see, the length of the tube is significantly smaller. So this is I've got to think about imperial measurements here. This is a 1.2 inch diameter tube, and the length of this tube, I'll have to say it in millimeters, so I apologize, is I think 130 millimeters, whereas a typical 1.2 inch tube is 225. So we've made it so it's smaller. And the challenge in developing this was to develop it to ensure that it's compliant with the requirements for the US consumer fireworks, because the requirements for consumer fireworks and professional fireworks are different. So the development of these is that every and one of the values of these effects is that every tube has a mine effect inside. So you have a mine effect, which then goes up to a bombette or shell effect. Mm-hmm. So, and the magic is what happens in the tube, the way the tube is made. The other huge part of the development of this a lot of hours was done in the development, is that the tube, normally with a firework manufacturing from China, the bottom of the tube is closed with a clay plug.
Yep.
Which is great, and it makes a device heavier, but it's just clay. So what we have done is done away with the clay, and we've developed the tube so that there is no clay in it. It's basically a tube that's closed in on itself. So the advantage of that is that you actually have something that's lighter in weight overall, which also helps with the transportation, helps with the handling. Yep. So even though it's lighter weight, doesn't mean there's less performance. What it means is you're not just holding clay.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the general idea. And then, we have it in the different sizes, and we're being able to apply the same technology into racks.
Sure.
So you've got these are preloaded, ready to shoot shells, and the racks are also ready to go as well.
And the Talons of Thunder is comparable to what a 60-gram canister shell, inch and 3/4.
Yeah, exactly, and that's exactly what's inside.
Yeah.
So rather than having the long reloadable tube, we've been able to eliminate that. Still goes to a safe and good height for performance, and like I said, preloaded, ready to shoot.
And I think the key here, for those of you who haven't seen this in the industry, is it's absolutely not a gimmick. Matter of fact, it's the opposite. And so what I think you will see is that it's a great price point for the consumer. And so I think it's an awesome product. Again, affordability is everything over the past couple of years as fireworks have gotten so much more expensive. And by shrinking this down, I mean, we're able to save on that ocean freight, get more units into a master carton, and ultimately that drives down the price to the consumer. So we're really excited about it.
Yeah, I think also one of the interesting things for us as manufacturers is, for us, the sawed-off isn't. We don't view sawed-off as just being a product so we view it as being a platform that our customers, who we treat like partners, can develop on. So like in your case, and we've developed a platform of the sawed-off, but you've been able to curate the effects, pick the effects that you want, design the packaging, the labeling to make your range unique and special for yourselves.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, and for those of us that unload containers or stock in the stores too, there's some big advantages just on the amount of space that like a full case of these takes up space and weight. There's a lot of advantages while retaining the top quality performance that we absolutely demand with our FOA products. So we're really excited about this. We love the packaging. I'm curious, what's your favorite of the 6 items? What's your favorite label?
Favorite label, I think for me the favorite label is the Spirit of Sam. I like that one too. Yeah, it pops, but I think you guys have done a great job in making labels that pop and stand out on the shelf. So it's really good.
And we have these in stock, currently ready to buy at all 4 of our distribution centers. It's an item that we're super excited about, that we think that retail customers will be excited about because it's something new and fresh. In the fireworks business, innovation is sometimes difficult because ultimately a lot of these things, there's just not a lot of innovation in the fireworks business. So this is something new and fresh and exciting to talk about, and behind a great creator that we can stand behind and trust, and we're very excited. So thank you so much for your partnership and help on this.
No, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Michael, you got anything else?
No, I don't think so. I think this was excellent.
Great. Robert, thanks for being with us, and
no, pleasure.
Cheers to a great year of sawed-off and Showtime fireworks.
Thank you.
Thank you.